I'm so sad because I was doing so well reading books at like super fast pace, and then it took me like 20 days to read a book, which I know doesn't seem like that long, but it's long for me. It usually takes me a day or two to read a book, and it took me like, actually I have it right here, let me calculate. Actually, I wrote down when I started and finished this book, it took me 17 days. That's not normal, but I finished it. I'm gonna be back on track, and I'm excited to read more and then share my books with you. My life has been so busy recently. Like, suddenly I have a packed schedule. From November to like January, I did pretty much nothing with my life except for schoolwork, college work. But now I just have this packed schedule and I'm doing so much. So I'm squeezing in videos when I can, and I'm having fun doing it. And I'm so excited to keep going with this channel. Yay! Without further ado, let's get into which book we are reviewing. Today I'm going to be talking about Spirits Abroad by Zen Cho. This was such a good book. It took me a long time to read, but it was so good and I loved it. So without further ado, let's read the summary. 19 sparkling stories that weave between the lands of the living and the lands of the dead. Spirits Abroad is an expanded edition of Zen Cho's Crawford Award-winning debut collection with 9 added stories, including Hugo Award winner If At First You Don't Succeed, Try Again. A Dayton recalls her romance with an Orang Bunyan. A teenage Pontiac struggles to balance homework, bossy aunties, first love, and eating people. An earth spirit gets entangled in protracted negotiations with an annoying landlord, and Changi spins off into outer space, the ultimate metaphor for the Chinese dysphoria. So as that summary said, there were 19 stories within this book. All 19 stories are worth talking about, but I decided to talk about my top 5 to make this video a little more organized, a little more concise. So I will be counting down from number 5 to number 1 for my favorite stories. So my 5th favorite story I will have to read straight from the table of contents because it is a long title and my brain is small. It is the First National Forum on the Position of Minorities in Malaysia. Little bit of a mouthful, but a very, very good story. This story was one of the new ones mentioned in the summary. The title says it all. It's a forum to talk about how to better treat the minorities in Malaysia. All of these stories are set either in Malaysia, have Malaysian characters, or are connected to Malaysian folklore, or there are some stories about Chinese characters, but it's mostly Malaysian people. This story is no different. It talks about everybody living in Malaysia. It's not just Malaysians. There's the Muslims and the Christians and the Chinese and people that aren't Malaysian living in Malaysia and what to do to better accommodate them. In this story, an Orang Bunyan, which is an invisible spirit, attends the meeting as well, saying just because they're invisible, they shouldn't be ignored. Now, this Bunyan is recognized by one of the people there. She is a human that ended up having a love affair with this spirit. In fact, they have a son together. So the story mostly focuses around that, but there is a little bit of political side tangents of sorts. I do want to note I am not going to be talking about anything regarding politics in any sort of way. I am just a reader interested in other cultures, so if there is anybody watching this with any sort of question on whether or not I have any opinion on anything political, I do not. I hate politics, but I love reading. Anyways, that's how that story goes. My 4th favorite story was quite a short one. It is called The Guest. I'll tell you right now why this was my 4th favorite story. It was about a cat. I love cats. The entire reason I have cats in the first place is because I read the Warrior series as a kid, and now I have 2 wonderful cats. I do have a bone to pick with the character in this story though. Yiling said she hated the stray cats around her home, when she was younger because they had black crusts around their eyes. Excuse me! Look at my boy. He has those crusts around his eyes, so I felt attacked because this is my boy. And he has those crusts. Say hello! So that part I didn't like, but every other part of the story I did like. Now let me put this boy down and I'll explain to you. Besides that one little hiccup, I think the rest of the story was great. In this story, Yiling picks up a stray cat off the road and takes her home. It seems very weird at first. In most of this story, it's just about Yiling going through her life and then having a side job in which she is someone who casts spells, and the cat just kind of sits there. But at the end of the story, the cat turns into a woman, and Yiling knew that was gonna happen. And then they fall in love. I just think that's cool. It's something that I would have never expected. It's something that really subverted my expectations, as did most of these stories, since I didn't know anything about Malaysian folklore beforehand. So I've just really enjoyed learning about it. I didn't expect the cat to turn into a woman. I'd rather have my cats be cats, but if they want their cats to be women, that's fine too, I guess. Either way, it was a short and sweet story. They got together, it was cute. On to the next one. So this book was sectioned off into stories from here, so stories in Malaysia, stories there, which were set in either England or America, and then stories from elsewhere, which were fantasy lands. This next story was set elsewhere. This story is called The Earth Spirit Favorite Anecdote, and it follows an Earth Spirit. Who would have guessed? These titles are very straightforward, and I appreciate that. All of the titles are very fitting to the chapter, but they don't give too much away, and I really enjoy that. Now, this story is about an Earth Spirit who left home and went to go on her own. In this universe, Earth Spirits dig holes in the ground and they live in those holes. But in order to live there permanently, they need to go to the Forest Spirit and make sure the land approves of them living there. Unfortunately for this Earth Spirit, the Forest Spirit wouldn't tell her whether or not it can stay there. And that was really frustrating for the Earth Spirit, but there was a reason that the Forest Spirit wanted the Earth Spirit to stay around, and that was because it was in love with them. And cute love stories. There were a lot of cute love stories in this collection. They weren't all love stories, but there was a good amount, and I really liked that. So it was a cute story, mostly about the Earth Spirit, but with a little romance on the side, and I thought that it was just really cute and fantastical, and I loved the fantasy element of it. My second favorite story was called The House of Ants. From the way that this story is talked about, Zencho seems to really enjoy this story herself, and I agree. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was awesome. I thought that the relationships between the main character, Ali, and all of her aunts was really good. In this story, Ali lives with her aunts, except there's a bit of a catch. Ali is dead. She died when she was a teenager and is forced to live now as an undead teenager. She calls herself a vampire, but the correct term, the term that she doesn't like, is Pontianak. Hopefully I said that right. These types of vampires are ones that don't drink blood. Instead, they hunt down men and they eat their innards. Sounds gross to some people. I thought it was cool. In this story, however, Ali falls in love. Forbidden romance between Ali, a vampire, and Rizul, a human boy. Her aunts are very against it, and they tell her that they're very against it, but she doesn't listen. She falls so much for him that Rizul tells her that he has feelings for her, and she gets so flustered she reveals she's a vampire. And if that's not the most awkward teen thing ever, I don't know what is. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm a vampire. Ooh, why do I do these things? But yes, she reveals she's a vampire, which obviously scares Ritsuo. So he avoids her, and then her aunts see that Ali is hurt by that, and they go to eat him. I won't spoil the ending for this one because I think it's definitely worth a read. But wow, imagine a boy breaks your heart and your family goes, darn, well, I guess we'll just have to eat him. I love it. I thought it was just one of the best stories out there. It was just so good. And last but not least, my favorite story of all is Prudence the Dragon. In this story, Prudence, the main character, comes across someone named Zheng Yi, who happens to be a dragon. In this universe, dragons come down every 1,000 or so years and find a human to pluck from this universe into theirs and live happily ever after with them. Prudence to humans is nothing special. She's not particularly pretty. She's not particularly sociable or extroverted or anything like that. But Zheng Yi takes a liking to her instantly. Suddenly, Zheng Yi is everywhere around Prudence, and she's a little bit confused by it at first. Not scared, mind you, that there's someone that's basically stalking her, but confused. And it's because Zheng Yi is a magical dragon, and they're meant to be together, so she has no reason to be afraid. But Prudence is confused. She goes, why are you even interested in me? Because to human standards, again, she was nothing special. Zheng Yi simply says that she's funny. Now, Prudence hates that answer because if someone that you were interested in ended up saying that your only good quality was that you were funny, it wouldn't be the best. But it says near the end of the story, the most wonderful thing anything can be is amusing. It was his way of telling her that he was madly in love with her. And it's just cute. I love things like that. It's just cute. He says he doesn't find her pretty, but that doesn't matter to him. He just thinks she's funny, and that's cute. So she ends up caving, and they get together, and it's adorable. So I really liked that story. I thought that it was awesome, and I think all 19 stories are worth a read, but those were my top 5. Before I go on to who I recommend this book to, I'll read a couple quotes. On page 23 in the story The Guest, if you remember the one about the cat, it says, she clung onto this sense of superiority to give herself significance, but there was nothing proud of in being different. There was nothing special about being lonely. That says so much about our society today. In the past 10 years, I'm Not Like Other Girls and adjacent things like that have popped up around the internet. There are many reasons why they exist, but a big reason why people say I'm not like other girls or they have some sort of other thing that they like to say as different about them is to feel superior. You're not better than anyone else just because you're different or you do a certain set of things. We're all baseline good people. It's what you do with your life that makes you go like this, you know? That makes you better than anyone else. I don't think I'm better than anyone else except for people who are morally bad people. So that quote really stuck out to me. That was when I realized, okay, this is going to be a really good book. Page 23 was when I realized I am going to really enjoy this book. And I did. Another one that's a bit obscure is found on page 144. It says, the Pilot G1 gel ink roller ball in a lush deep blue with a perfect 0.7 millimeter tip. That might not mean a lot to all of you, but I am a lover of Pilot pens. I am weirdly obsessed with them. My favorite is Pilot G205. And just to show you how much I love them, these are all the ones I've gone through. These ones are all empty. I have a ton more lying around my house, but these are all the empty ones that I've gone through. So I really love these pens. I'm just saying, in the future, Pilot, if you want to sponsor me, I wouldn't be mad. Just saying. And the last one that I'll read to you is on page 215, which says, "Her thoughts shot around and bumped into each other inside her skull as lively as ever." And I relate to that so much. I feel dumb all the time because my thoughts are all in here and my brain is really active, but nothing makes sense because they're all bouncing around together and I can't think straight. This video is getting so long, so I'm going to really quickly recommend books to people. I recommend this book to people who are interested in mythology, people interested in Asian folklore, people who want to explore other cultures, and I just think that everyone should give this a shot because it's really cool. I don't even like paranormal stuff, and there is a ton of paranormal stuff in these stories, and I still loved it. So here you go. But yes, that's it. If you liked the video, like it. If you have something to say, make sure to comment down below. Comment any books that you think that you would like me to review because I'm open to suggestions. If you like what you're seeing, consider subscribing. I love this channel. I'm having so much fun with it, so I'm gonna stick around for a long time. But with that being said, this has been Moo. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye! I needed that.